Alrighty, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. I am NoLucksGiven. We won the die roll here, and we're going to play some vintage. Just looking over this hand, we have a Mental Misstep. We have a Mox Opal, which is really good. If we can preordain into one more land, we can Thoughtcast on turn 2. I'm going to keep this hand. It's pretty close to being terrible, but as long as we're not playing against something like Shops or our opponent doesn't have a super quick draw, it looks like we might be playing against Dredge as our opponent mulligans to 4 here. I'm going to throw on some music. You guys might have heard me in the background. All right, looks like we are indeed playing against Dredge. That's fine. Our Snapcaster's dead. Or, oh, I guess we might just be playing against, what is it? They call it 2-card Monty or something? Like a Helm of Obedience deck. Alright, so we want Hurkyl's Recall on the bottom and Mox Jet on the top here. So we can actually now just go ahead and play Mox Jet and then play Mox Opal, and then this Thoughtcast is only going to cost us 2 mana because we will have 3 artifacts in play, so we can go ahead and Thoughtcast, and that turns into a pretty good turn 1 now. We could Opal and preordain. We can also just save the Opal and float a mana so that we can outcome next turn. Probably shouldn't be F6ing. We won't F6 on my opponent's turn here. How you doing, Kaleri? Alright, so Undiscovered Paradise. I think we're looking at a 2-card combo deck here. Force of Will. So right now we can outcome to draw 2 cards and generate 2 mana off of it, and then we can use that mana to preordain. That sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and float a mana here with Mox Opal, play another Mox Opal. I'm not muted or anything, right? Alright, cool, cool, cool. Choose a Mox Opal to keep. Let's keep this one. Then let's go Outcome, targeting Mox Opal, Mox Jet, and tapping out for that. Now, we could protect this with Force of Will. We're not going to need to. Looks like we're just going to get back our 2 Mox in. We can preordain, though. Sure, yeah, let's preordain before we get Taxium Probe. Alright, so Time Walk is good. I don't think we need another Mox Opal, though, so I'm going to put that on the bottom. I'm going to put this on the top, and I am going to go ahead and pay 2 life. We'll see a little bit about what's going on here as well with this Gitaxian Probe. And looks like it is Dredge. They had a Bazaar, but didn't run it out their turn 1, and are just going for a rather slow approach. Interesting. They have no Dredger, but it's pretty interesting that they decided to... I don't know. I don't really know what's going on here. This Snapcaster Mage is probably what we're going to pitch to Force of Will here. Could have kept the Opal on top so that we could float a mana and outcome again next turn. We really want to hit a real Moxen, though, so I'm not going to stress about that too much. My opponent can Bazaar to try to hit a Cabal Therapy. They're going to name Force of Will with their Cabal Therapies, so we want to misstep on that. Alright, let's just go ahead and cycle our Time Walk here. Nothing too fancy. Let's just go to our next turn. I'm curious, does that increase the turn number here? It might. It does indeed. Alright, well, we got a bunch of Force of Wills now, which honestly is not super great. But our opponent has some weird shenanigans going on. So yeah, end of turn, they're going to activate Bazaar. They're going to draw 2 cards and then try to discard a Dredger. That is their plan. They discard 2 Bridge from Belows and a Dockmore Salvage. Well, Dockmore Salvage you can dredge. So they are going to dredge that on their draw step. It's dredge 2, I suppose. Hitting a Narcomoeba and a Dread Return. Well, we've got counter spells for days, so we're just not going to let a Cabal Therapy resolve. An Unmask is fine resolving. We definitely don't want them to Cabal Therapy all of our Force of Wills, though. And 1 more mana, we can start getting out ahead of this Point of this deck is to play a Monastery Mentor and then draw a bunch of cards. Pretty straightforward deck as far as Vintage goes. If I throw this up on YouTube, I might do a deck tech as well for those of you not familiar with this deck, so that might preface this. Alright, a Bloodghast is now in the bin, and I believe my opponent also still has a Bloodghast in their hand, too. So, we're going to see some more fancy stuff going on next turn. They play the Petrified Field. Yeah, I believe that their hand is now Bloodghast, and that's the only card that we know from their hand. Alrighty. Alright, so here's the Seat of the Synod. That means at least we can outcome and... yeah, we should just do that. It's a draw 2. So outcome, bouncing our Mox Opal and Mox Jet, which means we're going to draw 2. We hit a Brainstorm and a Tundra. I guess I could have held on to Mox Jet in case I hit Lotus. In case I hit Lotus Mentor. We are just going to cast this Brainstorm here, see if we can hit anything. Preordain, Thoughtcast. Alright, we're going to have to put 2 cards back on top of the deck. I don't think it matters too much. I think we're just going to put these Preordains and Thoughtcasts on top of the deck. Next turn we get to cast Thoughtcast for 1 mana, so that is pretty sweet. Let's just discard Snapcaster. I guess it's the worst card. Yeah, this deck draws a lot of cards. Snapcaster is a win condition, but not really a good one. We don't have the Time Walk anymore, which is also something to just be aware of. Alright, opponent's going to activate Bazaar on their upkeep, as you do, so that way you can dredge on your draw step. But they didn't have any dredger to begin with, and they're only dredging 2 here. Dockmore Salvage is one of the... Or I think it is the... No, there might be a dredge 1 card. Oh, Dark Blast. Dark Blast is dredge 1. Dockmore Salvage is obviously a little bit better because you can use it to return your Bloodghast. So it looks like my opponent doesn't have enough to do anything right now. Next turn they can reanimate Icarid, exiling Ashen Rider, but then they don't have anything to target with a Dread Return. So, yeah, their draw is definitely slow, to say the least. Let's draw 2 cards. Alright, Mana Crypt and a pair of Preordains. Let's fire off one of the Preordains. Really just trying to hit Monastery Mentor at this point. And I don't think we want Ponder. Let's look at our mana here. If we use this Mox Opal, we only have this 1 last blue mana. So I'm going to put both of these on the bottom and just draw a random card off the top. Alright, outcome. That's pretty good. We can outcome for 3 here. Let's outcome for 3 first, because we might not want to play this Tundra. We might draw an Academy of Tolarian Academy. Alright, targeting all 3 of our non-land artifacts. Returning all 3 of our non-land artifacts to our hand. And what's our draw 3 going to hit us? Ancestral. Alright. Flooded Strand and the Opal again. I guess let's start off by Ancestraling ourselves. What else could we do? Yeah, let's Ancestral ourselves and still try to hit the Tolarian Academy. Alright, target ourselves here. We got another outcome, so we can cast that at the very least. That's going to be another draw 3. All we're hitting here is Mental Missteps and Force of Wills, which is a little bit awkward. Yeah, we're out of blue mana, unfortunately. So let's just play an outcome, draw 3, and try to hit a Monastery Mentor. That's about all we can do right now. 1, 2, 3. And this will be a break even mana-wise. draw 3, pick up our Moxen. Gotta hit a Mentor at some point. Looks like we hit a Ruby and a... another Opal. Alright, well, we hit another Opal. That means we can have some additional blue mana here to preordain. So we can throw this away. We have a Monastery Mentor, and we have a Dig Through Time that is uncastable. Let's put the Mentor on top. Let's draw the Mentor, and we can play the Mentor and then get 2 triggers and then just have a bunch of counter spells. Let's do that. Let's play our Mana Crypt. Let's play our... We do need to play Opal, right? Yeah, Jet and Ruby. Alright, let's play Opal. Let's choose to keep the new Opal that is untapped. Play a Monastery Mentor. Paying 2 colorless. Do have to potentially worry about dying to Mana Crypt, but we don't have to worry about dying to any spells that our opponent might cast. Another thing that's really interesting is if any of our creatures die ever, my opponent loses 3 of their Bridge from Belows. So that's going to wind up being pretty good too. That means my opponent can really only attack with Narcomoeba. If they attack with Bloodghast... Oh, never mind. They have a Leyline of the Void in play. Oh, wait. Never mind. So normally Leyline of the Void prevents your Bridge from Below tokens from getting exiled. This is a really weird rules interaction. So, discard until we have 7. Alright, let's get rid of Flooded Strand. We don't need that anymore. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I actually can cast Treasure Cruise here. I'm going to get rid of Seat of the Synod. Do I have to get rid of one more? I do. Let's get rid of one of these Force of Wills. I'm not going to cast all of them. I can just tap out in Treasure Cruise here, and actually, that seems kind of fine. So my opponent's going to probably just reanimate Icarid and then pass the turn, making themselves some zombies. So I cut myself off here. When a creature is put into an opponent's graveyard from the battlefield, if Bridge from Below is in your graveyard, exile Bridge from Below. So whenever one of your own creatures dies, you get to exile your opponent's bridges. Normally, Leyline prevents against that. It says if a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. A really cool interaction is tokens are not considered cards. They are considered tokens, they are considered permanents, they are considered permanents I control and permanents I own, but they are not considered cards. And my opponent probably knows this interaction from playing Vintage. I kind of just realized it from playing Legacy. What do we have? All right, my opponent's going to hardcast a Golgari Thug. They do have one Cabal Therapy. We are going to Mental Misstep that for sure, because Cabal Therapy, they're going to name Force of Will, and they would get to take all of our Force of Wills here. Just make sure my auto yields are off. And every time we Mental Misstep, we do get to make a Monk here. Alright, so he's just putting his triggers on the stack here. And he can also put Icarid on top of his deck. I don't quite see the point of that, but let's go ahead and counter this, paying 2 life points and making my team bigger. Let's always yield to this, always yield to this, and we've already yielded to this. Oh, I removed all auto yields, that's why. Alright, so Cabal Therapy is countered. My opponent has an Unmask, but it's in their graveyard, so not much they can do with that. Looks like my opponent is running the mono black version of Dredge. I think I even swing with Mentor here because exiling all 3 of my opponent's bridges is, like, insane for me. Alright. My opponent's going to get a bunch more zombies. But we are going to stop them from creating an Ashen Rider at the very least. And we've got almost as many monks as they have zombies, so this might work out okay. They're out of cards, but they are still a dredge deck. They've got a Bloodghast coming next turn. They put their Ichorid on top of their own deck, which I don't know exactly why. Maybe they're just playing around. I don't know. They can't reanimate their Ichorid next turn anyways now. Alright. They have 8 zombies. We have 4 monks. We're going to need to draw some more cards here, which is why I hung on to this Treasure Cruise. Oh, they have another Dread Return? Alright, well this works out decently for us. Let's pay this, and let's pitch Mental Misstep again. And now we're actually... we have more monks than they have zombies now. That's pretty good. We now have 6 monks, if you count Monastery Mentor himself. And they have 5 zombies. Now that's not going to last too long here. Put Hurkyl's Recall on the bottom of the deck. Let's go for the coin flip. We won the flip. Ooh, top. Alright, well that's pretty much the best thing we can draw. We just have to decide if we want to cruise first or top first. If we top, we're pretty much looking to draw Black Lotus or Mana Vault off of Treasure Cruise. Let's just cruise, hope to hit 1 land or 1 Moxen in the top 3 cards here. Or a blue card would be pretty reasonable as well. My life total is 11, so I do kind of have to watch it. Ugh, Monastery Mentor and nothing else. So now I have really bad blocks and really bad attacks. Well, my life total is luckily 1 above 10, so Bloodghast is not going to come back with haste. And like I said, my opponent put Ichorid on top of their deck for some reason. So they're just going to mill their Ichorid next turn. Yeah, don't really understand what's going on there, but I am not going to stick around too long to figure out what's going on. Let's swing with Monastery Mentor as well, because I've got backup mentors and tops, and also this is going to be pretty tempting for my opponent to want to trade off with, I think. Oh, but you know what? The mentor... oh, they're just going to chump block it. Okay. So that was like potentially a mistake even. What's really weird about that is the mentor itself... we might lose here. The mentor itself, if they had double blocked that, it would have been a card going to the graveyard, and it wouldn't have triggered anything else. So my opponent's got 8 power in play, and then with the Bloodghast, if I pitch to Force of Will, they're going to have 10. So we're going to throw a monk in front of like Bloodghast, and then that'll exile all of their bridges. They probably have enough zombies, but they do have to be wary of a crackback. If we can play like 2 spells, they're going to need a few blockers here. What did they mill on their Bazaar? Looks like they got a bunch of dredgers finally, but nothing really to do with it. And they are going to Petrified Field their Bazaar back. And then play a Bazaar, trigger 2 Bloodghasts. Okay. We could be in some trouble, but... oh, you know what? We're actually dead. If we Force of Will anything, we're dead now. No, we aren't. We aren't. Because if we Force of Will anything, we get another monk token. Okay. That's pretty close then. Alright, so my opponent's going to draw a whole bunch more cards, milling a whole bunch more cards. So they're going to be dredging their Golgari Grave Trolls at this point. And do they hit any more Cabal Therapies? They don't. They hit a Narcomoeba, which is good. But they're just going to go for a... that's really lucky that they didn't hit any more Cabal Therapies. And they have 0 cards in hand. So if they hit a Cabal Therapy, they'd be able to sacrifice a Narcomoeba, try to name Force of Will. They're going to get a shitload of tokens here, though, so this is not great. But if we can draw a top, I think we might be able to still win this game. Let's just counter this, pitching our Mental Misstep. We go down to 10 here. They sacrifice their Bloodghast, so it doesn't matter that those guys will have haste. We put all these triggers on the stack. All right. And I believe I can F6 here now. There's nothing else fancy going on in my opponent's graveyard. So, yeah, like, a few of these zombies can attack. We're going to exile all of my opponent's bridges. And we're going to try to not die to Mana Crypt. I think we might just be dead. All right, we won the flip. So that's at least lucky. Yeah, I feel like we probably want to start by running out these mentors. We can play both mentors. And then we'll have 3 mana to play top, spin top, flip it, play a Preordain, and then we can replay the top. Oh, did I undo? Alright, gotta watch my time on the clock. I only have 11 minutes left. Oh shit, I've been thinking out my plays way too much here. Alright, I'm gonna start to play a little bit faster. Alright, my opponent is now just attempting to add time to my clock. I just have to put them on the stack. So I think I just want to flip top. Play Pearl, or no, flip top, play Mystical Tutor. Alrighty. So how many monkeys do I get to swing with here? I need to keep back how many blockers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I pretty much need to keep back all my blockers here. I'm going to get 3 more blockers if I top. But the other thing is if I hit my opponent with 2 dudes, or like 4 dudes, they have to block 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have exactly enough to not die. Let's just plan on Mystical Tutoring here. Oh, Icarid. Okay. How many Icarids does my opponent have? Just 1, I guess. If there's only 1 triggering right now. Not to mention the fact that my opponent can probably try to find the 4th Dread Return here. We're actually not going to let them keep that many creatures. Alright. Bloodghast. Oh, they get all the hasty Bloodghasts. Alright. Is that 4 Bloodghasts coming in? Plus an Icarid? I think we're just dead. Right? Because I can make 3 blockers for a total of 16. Yeah, okay. We're dead. And I have no Dredge Graveyard hate because I don't respect it enough. We probably want to board out our things that use the graveyard. I'm not sure. It's not like my opponent's going to mulligan for Leyline plus Bazaar. Yeah, pretty lucky to mulligan to both of them. At the same time, what of this stuff do we even want? I guess Swords to Plowshares slows the deck down a decent enough amount and balance. So maybe we just want both of those cards. Like, if your opponent commits and then you're able to just balance everything away, that's pretty solid. Mystical Tutor is probably still good when you're putting balance in the deck. Maybe Merchant Scroll is a little slow and Hurkyl's Recall doesn't do enough. At which point you want Flusterstorm. Oh, Brain Freeze to finish milling them out? It seems really scary, but really funny. We don't have to storm for as much with Brain Freeze because my opponent's going to mill themselves. Alright, let's bring in the Flusterstorm. Definitely want the swords. Alright, let's try this. I'm not sure if we don't want Snapcaster Mage. Snapcaster could be really good if they don't have Leyline, both as a means to turn off their bridges as well. But I think it's... I mean, Brain Freeze seems interesting at the very least. So let's try it here. I do have to watch my clock. We get to be on the play. We have almost a turn 1 Monastery Mentor. Mox Opal we can't tap for mana here. We can turn 1 Outcome, bounce Mana Crypt, and Mox Opal. That's probably good enough. Alright. I was moving this just so you could see how much my opponents have mulliganed here. But I'll just tell you. I'll just tell you what they do. Alrighty. So let's play out the Academy, play Mox Opal, play Mana Crypt, and I can Thought Cast here, but I can also just Outcome for 2. So let's lead with that. They don't get to generate any mana or anything off this Outcome. Nor do I get to really do anything with it. Oh, that's kind of a bummer. Alright, let's just pass the turn. So, outcome as a draw 2, not super impressive. City of Brass here. Looks like we're getting Cabal therapied, and my opponent can take Mana Crypt from us. They could also take Mox Opal. They might just name Mox Opal here. I guess I should have played it. I wasn't thinking about Cabal Therapy. That's pretty smart if my opponent names Mox Opal here. And I definitely should have played it. I like hanging on to the Mana Crypt because of the upkeep trigger. Alright, that's fine. I wasn't going to play the Mana Crypt anyways. I don't think the upkeep damage was necessarily worth it. Alrighty, so they take our Mana Crypt, and then they're going to unmask us and take our Mox Opal. Alright, well, now we're kind of boned. Yep, okay. Alrighty. That mistake is looking a little silly now. So if I had the Mox Opal, Tolarian Academy only taps for a blue for each artifact you control. So if you don't have any artifacts, you cannot tap it for mana. Really looking for a Sapphire here. Mana Vault and Soul Ring would both be pretty terrible draws. Alright, but my opponent's not doing anything themselves either. So we can discard Brain Freeze. We don't have the means to get Brain Freeze back, but it's definitely the weakest card here. We could also just discard Brainstorm, because it's going to be the last one that we'd want to cast in the face of all of this. Sure, I'll discard Brainstorm this turn. Oh. It's probably not worth thinking about. We need to win 2 games with 8 minutes left on the clock here. But our opponent is not doing shit. They are, I guess, going to discard the hand size in a few turns here. Let's go Tundra, and then let's lead with Preordain. I like leading with that one. Scry to draw a card. I like both of these. Maybe I could have ditched that one. The Mox Emerald is going to let us cast another Preordain. I'll ponder here. Alright, well, I love all of these, clearly. Let's draw the Flooded Strand right now. Oh, I guess I did put the Mentor on bottom. No. Alright, so next turn we are going to Mentor, and then we are going to Preordain, and we'll have a follow-up Time Walk for the following turn. We can Time Walk plus Outcome, and all that jazz, and my opponent is on the slow discard plan. So they could have something like a Dismember or something weird here. If they do, oh well. Let's crack our Flooded Strand, grab our Tundra, and then cast Preordain. Let's yield to these abilities here. And then yield to Preordain. Force of Will and Thoughtcast. You know what? I kind of like Force of Will. How's Thoughtcast good? Yeah, it's fine. Let's take that as well. It's actually better than Outcome here. And we'll pitch Brain Freeze. So next turn we get to go Thoughtcast, Time Walk, or we can go Thoughtcast, Thoughtcast, Time Walk, and maybe the Thoughtcast will even draw us into something else. Going to see my opponent discard a creature with the Dredge mechanic here, and it's the best one. We want to leave our Tolarian Academy open, because if we draw some more artifacts, we want to be able to cast it off that. Oh, this is going to be... Oh, I only have one artifact. This taps me out. Alright, let's Outcome then. Just Outcome the Emerald. This way at least we'll get to replay the Emerald, and then if we hit another land, we can Time Walk. Alright, well we hit Mox Jet and Mox Emerald. So at least now we've got a board presence on the field. And we get to smack my opponent for 9 down to 10. So my opponent's dead next turn. We've got Force of Will and Time Walk. That should pretty much be it. Our opponent completely land deathed us with their Cabal therapies here, but that shouldn't matter. My opponent pretty much needs to cast Balance right now, and they need to cast it with Cabal Therapy backup. So yeah, all my opponent's going to need to see is for me to cast one spell here, and then that'll give me lethal. I guess I might need to cast one more Thoughtcast. Alright, let's stop there. Does Dredge play Fog? That would be annoying. Nope, they're going to take 16, drop down to -6. Alright, let's go back to the sideboard. Do we want Snapcaster Mage? Do we want Brain Freeze? Brain Freeze seems like such a liability. Snapcaster can at least do something when we're not comboing off. But Brain Freeze seems super fun, and I guess that's really why we're here, all things considered. Oh, excuse me. Alright, no Hercles. This is fine. Let's go for it. Game 3. Our opponent gets to be on the play. We have a hand that doesn't do anything. But if we get Taxium Probe into another artifact or a land, we can cast the Preordain, our Thoughtcast is online, our Opal's online. This is really close. Our opponent kept 7 cards? That's crazy. They might just be keeping a slow hand, though. Alright, I'm going to give this a shot. I think they might just be Cabal Therapying us. Nope, they just have a 7-card hand with a Bazaar of Baghdad. Alright, well we can draw some nutty cards here, too. Alright, maybe we can't. Let's play Mox Opal. Let's play Mox Pearl, and let's pass the turn. Alrighty. A little bit greedy. A little bit greedy here. Opponent activates Bazaar. Do they also have a Dredger in their 7? Well, a Dredger in their 8 now, because they get to draw 2 more cards before they choose. Their Dredger is a Dockmore Salvage, and they play 2 Bloodghasts. Okay. Well, Dockmore Salvage is not super likely to hit, so if my opponent activates Bazaar on upkeep here, I think we might see them miss. Nope, they hit 2 Stinkweed Imps, so they're going to Dredge Imp now for 5, and then discard... Oh, that was their draw step. Okay. So now they're going to Dredge Imp, Dredge Imp, and there's a Troll. So now they'll discard both of their Imps. They might hang on to Dakmor Salvage here, though. Yep, they do. They discard Bridge from Below, and they play another Bazaar of Baghdad. You've got to be kidding me. Reanimating 2 Bloodghasts. That is really quite terrible. We're going to need to get a little bit lucky and Brain Freeze our opponent out of the game here. I kept in the Brain Freeze, right? I believe I did. All right, so they are going to Dredge 6. They're going to have more Cabal therapies than I can even shake a stick at. We're going to let the first Cabal therapy resolve. Then we're going to try to Mental Misstep the next 2. And meanwhile, my opponent is going to make a bunch of zombies. So I'm just going to hope that they don't name Mental Misstep here. I'm going to hope that they name Force of Will, as they are apt to do, typically. They could also name Monastery Mentor or Paradoxical Outcome. Alright, they do name Force of Will, so we dodged it. And now the next Cabal therapy we have to counter, otherwise they're going to take both of our Mental Missteps. And then the last one we counter, or they'll just take, like, the Thoughtcast or something. They might even just hang on to the Cabal therapies here. That would be pretty good for us, because I'd love to be able to play the Mentor before playing these Mental Missteps. But that is probably not going to be the case. Alrighty. I think I just yielded to the bridges, but I wanted to be super careful there. Alright, my opponent's got 6 zombies. They don't want to sacrifice any more of those zombies. They're going to wait and sacrifice them with the bridge. Tolarian Academy is pretty good. So I can Thoughtcast for all of my mana, or I can Preordain. Let's Preordain. Alright, I'm going to have 1 blue floating when I cast this. We're just looking for any artifacts here. Would love a... Alright, that seems pretty good. Bottom. I won't be able to Thoughtcast this turn, but I can get Taxian Probe. Alrighty. So let's go Mentor after we play the Emerald. And if this... The reason I put the outcome on bottom was because if this Gitaxian Probe hits an artifact, I can cast it off of Thoughtcast. We'll look at their hand. It doesn't really matter what's in their hand here. Alrighty. So they have some cards in their hand, sure. Field, Meba, City of Brass. Swords to Plowshares. We don't have the correct mana currently to cast that, and I can't cast Thoughtcast, so we're all done. Alright, here come the Icarids. We are going to take... Actually, we won't really have to take any hits from these Icarids. I don't think. Maybe we will. My opponent's got a bunch of bridges. They're also going to get to bring back the Bloodghasts now. And those guys will have haste, so it's looking pretty good. They're probably going to get to do a whole bunch of crazy shit this turn. They have an Elishnorn and an Iona in the bin here, so all they need to do is find a Dread Return, actually, and we're boned, and they already have one. So I can't actually beat Dread Return. I mean, I have this Swords to Plowshares, but I'm also just dead to it because it's going to kill my Monastery Mentor. Would mean on my turn... you know what? It's possible. We're going to be Thoughtcasting. So we're going to be drawing 2 cards. I did put the outcome on the bottom, which would have been a nice 1-mana draw 3. Yeah, maybe I needed outcome to win. We still have Brain Freeze and Time Walk in the deck. Yeah, that's going to not work out super well for us. Oh, if my opponent attacks us first. No, never mind. We're in their main phase right now. He's so great for us if they attack us first, though. Oh, you know what? I'm just dead. I'm just dead to... I'm just dead to them reanimating Elishnorn. Elishnorn's going to clear my whole battlefield. Right? And then all of these guys will be 4/4s, so I'll take 20 damage. Yeah, we are dead. Alrighty. Well, not a horrible first round. We got to see some of the crazy stuff that the deck can do. Yeah, my opponent can just sacrifice this Narcomoeba and 2 of these zombies. Oh, they're going to Cabal Therapy us again before anything else happens here. I typed GG Will Play. I haven't sent it yet. I'm going to make sure my opponent realizes that they have an Elishnorn all the way down here at the bottom of their graveyard. If this was in paper, maybe we'd have a better shot of that being relevant. They take our Thoughtcast as well, so don't even... I guess they don't need to name Force of Will at that point, because as long as they name the blue card that they know we have in hand, Mindbreak Trap could actually still have messed them up a lot here. That would have been really good. Maybe you should just board in Mindbreak Trap. Would have been good enough here, right? Or no? No, because all they... No. Did they cast? Yeah, they cast 2 Cabal Therapies, right. And then the Dread Return. So it would have worked. Alright, there's Big Daddy Elishnorn, and that'll be enough to seal the deal. I'll go ahead and hit send on that GG Well Played. That is round 1 of Vintage, the daily with Paradoxical Outcome Mentor. Let's see what happens in round 2 here. Also going to throw on some Musex, and I'm going to go grab some water too, and I will be right back. I feel like we got close to doing some sweet stuff that round. I mean, the game that we won was obviously... We did some crazy powerful stuff. There's my breaking the internet text for you there, Atog. Alrighty, round 2. Let's go, baby. Get hype. Lost the die roll here. Super unlucky in Vintage, of course. But you know what? His hand seems pretty fantastic. We get to go turn 1 Monastery Mentor, turn 2 pick up everything and play a Paradoxical Outcome, and then see what outcomes of that. So let's keep... His hand is pretty resilient to Force of Will as well. Oh, my opponent's got a turn 1 Monastery Mentor as well? Sphere. Okay. Well, this hand's really bad against Sphere. I need to hit a land. Still think it was worth keeping. Alright, that's going to be it for my opponent. Ancient Tomb, go. If we can hit a land, we are in A-OK shape. Alright. No land. Let's go ahead and discard our Mental Misstep. That's unlucky. Yeah, like I said, the die roll is super important in Vintage. If we had won this die roll, we would have been totally out ahead of it. Now, my opponent didn't play anything on their turn, so they either didn't want to play into, or they wanted to either hide their Wasteland, or they just didn't have anything to play. We actually get to do a considerable amount of work here with this Mana Crypt, being able to dump our hand and then even cast a Preordain. Let's just take the Jet and put it on top, and let's put the Force of Will on the bottom. There are going to be things that we're going to want to counter here, but it's just going to be too hard to counter spells and also do our own proactive stuff. Alright, they do have the Wasteland, so they were kind of being sneaky with Wasteland. They're going to Wasteland our Seat of the Synod here, but is that too little too late? I think it is. Let's always yield to Mana Crypt. Let's call heads and win the flip, even though in paper I always call tails. Alright, let's tap out right now for Monastery Mentor. And let's hope... Oh, they played another Sphere. Okay. My fault. Okay. In that case, let's play Mox Jet. And Mox Jet is technically going to be enough to play Mentor next turn. Unless they have another Sphere. I don't think we need to play around that. But at the same time, it's not like we can play anything at, like, this Mox Emerald's going to cost us 2 mana to play. Might really just be better in play, and then it'll turn on our Thoughtcast sooner. Like if I draw a land, I'm going to want to have this Emerald in play. Sure, where do we get punished? If we... No. Yeah, okay. Let's play it up. So we are powering through this Sphere of Resistance here. Monastery Mentor is typically pretty good against this deck. We will have to worry about a Walking Ballista, though. It looks like my opponent doesn't have a Walking Ballista. They definitely would have slammed it for X = 2 there. We lost this flip. Let's play Monastery Mentor. They might just be very, very reserved. Monastery Mentor, and we can't quite play Thoughtcast. We're 1 mana short of playing Thoughtcast, and also a blue mana short. We didn't draw blue or white mana on that turn. So can we survive? Strip Mine, no legal targets. That shouldn't change anything. Oh, they could play a Fleetwheel Cruiser now? Or no, they can play a 5-drop that they couldn't have before. Phyrexian Revoker, they're going to name Mana Crypt. Funny that they have the 2 Mox and that we don't. Oh, they might just name Mox Opal here, too. Yeah, Mox Opal is a much better name. Alrighty. Well, my opponent's causing themselves some damage as well, but we're causing ourselves more damage. Mental Misstep is pretty terrible here. Let's not attack, and let's pass the turn. This looks... Nope, this isn't a Ballista. This is a 5-drop. Precursor Golem. Okay. My opponent's got a bunch of 3/3s now. I think they could even pretty cleanly attack with Phyrexian Revoker. I don't really have any good blocks. Oh, lost the flip again. Alright. Strip Mine's going to punish us when we eventually do hit a land. Here's a Force of Will for the Precursor Golem, but a little too late here. Well, we have Mental Misstep for their next threat, though I'm not sure we will see a next threat. Yeah, I think my opponent should just swing out here. No, maybe the Phyrexian Revoker's better than Mental Misstep here. Alright, I'm going to go down to 2. I'm going to need some good draws here. Wow. My opponent's going to take a bunch of damage to play another Precursor Golem. To be honest, I'm not really sure that this card matters, but I don't mind making a Monk token. So now we've got some ways to kind of deal with what my opponent's got going on. If we can draw some blue mana, like a Mox Sapphire, mayhaps. Oh, we also have to not lose these Mana Crypt flips, ever. Alright, well, my opponent's got lethal. Oh, I can't even cast this. Alright, let's concede. And when we go into the sideboard here, what do I like against this deck? Dig Through Time is sometimes a little slow, as is Merchant Scroll. I think that's definitely too slow. All of our Mental Missteps are bad. Let's move all of these to the sideboard. And I think we decided we don't really love Gitaxian Probe, and we don't mind trimming a Preordain. So I think this is generally what you wind up doing against shops. And then we're going to board in all of these, the planes. We're going to need to board out a few more cards here. We want these Steel Sabotages for sure, and we want these Hurkyl's Recalls for sure. So we still want to board out 4 more cards here. I guess that's another Preordain, an Outcome. It's a little expensive. How are we doing this? Because this is a lot of cards. I guess we don't need Snapcaster in this matchup. I don't hate it because it can come in and block some dudes. But I guess it's slow. Could board out another Outcome. Don't want to board out Mystical Tutor when we've got balance in the deck now. Top is probably still pretty good. Let's board out Brainstorm too. Let's board out a cheap cantrip here. We get to be on the play this game, and this game we just have a bunch of lands. I'm going to keep. We need to draw some Moxen for sure, but land-heavy hands are generally somewhat decent against shops. I'm just going to lead with Tundra here. I don't really care if it gets wasted, and we're going to keep all of this shit on top. So let's go top, top, top. Oh, shit. I definitely drew those cards in the wrong order there. Oh, well. I meant to draw the planes and not draw the Seat of the Synod. But Seat's still good with Thoughtcast, so maybe we just want to draw them all. Reason I led with Tundra instead of going and fetching Island turn 1 is so that we could have used the Flooded Strand to shuffle away the 3rd card from Ponder if we wanted to. And we're just going to let this sphere resolve here. Oh, it is a Chalice on 1. Alright, well, that's pretty annoying. We're going to need to Hurkyl's that and then force it on the way back down. I'd actually shuffle away our Fragmentize right now if I could, but we can't. So we are forced to draw Fragmentize next turn. I thought it was going to be good. I thought we'd just go Seat of the or I thought we'd go Plains and then Fragmentize whatever they played here. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. I think I will draw our Plains, though. It's going to be pretty slow, and these outcomes aren't doing anything. All right, Wasteland is probably going to tag Tundra. Yep. And, all right, we are going to see a threat here now as well, so we will have to do something eventually. Not that my opponent has that much mana that they're working with. All right, well, now they can play 7 drops. Just like that. Here come the 7-drops. Now, this looks like another Precursor Golem. Yerp. Okay. And we can't Swords to Plowshares this or anything fancy. What we can do is find a balance, but we won't be able to dig for that balance in any real relevant way here. Alright, Phyrexian Invoker's probably just going to name Mox Opal, as it is apt to do in this matchup. And that worked out pretty well for my opponent game 1. Alright. And yeah, Mox Opal... Oh no, Black Lotus is named. Alright, that seems like a pretty solid name too. Mox Pearl is still live. So I can Thoughtcast this turn and then balance next turn. Sounds good. I was trying to think if I'd want to mix that up at all. No, let's just play Pearl. Oh, right. Pearl now costs a mana. So that means we cannot Thoughtcast. So we're just going to have to naturally hit balance next turn. Right? Yeah, because this card now costs 6 mana, and then it's 2 cheaper, so it costs a total of 4 mana. That's why I board out the outcomes. Sometimes they are a little expensive. Chalice of the Void is a really, really insane card in Vintage. It's not actually being that good here, but shutting off our Fragmentize, which, like, could have killed these Golem tokens at the very least, and could have done a lot more in some other scenarios. Are we going to see a Walking Ballista to finish us off? Doesn't look like it. It's a 4-drop, so, or no. It's a 3-drop. Well, we don't know what it is until my opponent appropriately casts it. Alright, looks like it is a 4-drop, so Lodestone Golem? Oh no, Precursor Golem. It's a 5-drop. Right, Foundry, Inspector. A lot of weird math. Okay. Okay. We're not dead. We bought ourselves some time here, boys and girls. Looks like we're going to be playing Flooded Strand, Herculesing our opponent, who will then get to recast 1 spell of their choice, pretty much. Hercules is really good. We bring in a bunch of them. Just trying to think of what else we can do, if anything else. Thoughtcast costs 4 mana total. Okay, no Thoughtcast. Let's play Flooded Strand, and let's Hercules my opponent after they declare attackers. My opponent's going to have 6 mana to work with. So let's go ahead and Hercules them. So they kind of want to replay this Chalice. They kind of want to replay Foundry Street first. Foundry Street only impacts your artifact creatures, right? Not just your artifacts. Black Lotus! That card's way too good. Alright, looks like my opponent's going to be playing everything. And it's probably going to be a Chalice. Or I guess Foundry Street, yeah, artifacts you cast cost 1 less. Okay. And then they have 6 mana. So they can really do whatever the hell they want. Here comes the Chalice on X equals 1 to start stopping things. We need to draw another Hercules. And then here comes the Black Lotus, and they're going to go for Golem? No. Walking Ballista to finish us off. Sure thing, guy. You got it. Oops. Alright, well played. They got us there. The die roll, again, being super, super important, as you can tell. We have 15 minutes left for the next round. You know what I think I'm going to do? I am going to get my first win of the day in Eternal here. So for those of you guys that don't know Eternal, it is LSV and Pat Chapin's card game, made by Direwolf Digital, and it's pretty sweet. It is essentially Magic. It plays just like Magic. I don't think I have to log in here. I might have to. But it plays just like Magic the Gathering. Just it's digital, so there's some digital mechanics. Let's re-roll this quest here, see if we can get a slightly better one. We did. Alright. And I'm just going to hop into a ranked game. I don't have the new cards yet, but I'm still at Diamond rank, so these games should still be somewhat entertaining. And we'll get to see our opponents play new cards. So, that's exciting. I am dead in the Vintage tournament, but I don't know, unless something comes up, I think I might keep playing it. Let me see what my friends are up to. I might quit out after a disappointing 0-2 start here. Alright, what do we have to work with? Sand seems pretty solid. So I'll go ahead and read off these cards for those of you guys that don't know Eternal. It's a 2-2. You make a 1-1 Death Touch, a 2-2 flyer, or a 3-3 trample. This is a 2-mana 3-3 that whenever a creature dies, the owner takes a damage. We're going to Lightning Bolt that, though. Let's just play a Seat, which is a dual land. This says whenever you have 2 units come into play on the same turn, you draw a card. So this makes 3 tokens, this makes tokens. Both of those will let you draw cards off of this. We can try to triple block this Champion of Chaos. I'm going to go for it. Yeah, I think I actually will drop from the Magic event and just go out and get some dinner. I'll try again next weekend or some other free time that I had, but didn't quite work out. The deck is really, really powerful, though. But maybe next time we'll get him. Alright, my opponent main phased a kill spell, so we can't block here. But we can block this Oni Ronin and Pyro Knight, so we're actually in an okay spot. I think we're in an okay enough spot that I'm going to go ahead and play Vault of Praxis. It's a little bit risky against the black-red Rakdos aggro decks. Alright, opponent's going to Quarry. Try to find something a little bit better. I'm going to switch the game over to Eternal as well. I think I am. Twitch might be having some problems right now. Alright, Argenport Instigator pre-combat. It's a little bit annoying. That means I'm still going to take damage when both of these guys attack. Alright, they're going to keep the Pyro Knight back. That makes sense. Take 1 damage plus 4, go down to 16. You know what? This is actually fine. Let's play a 2-2, make a 3-3, and we get to draw some cards. So this is the only card that I didn't read out yet. For every 4 mana, for every 4 lands you have in play, you make a 4-4 flyer. Alright, there goes that guy. Well, we still get to double block something. Let's double block Argenport. If we block here, we take 3 plus 3, we take 6. Alright. So we only take 5 damage. My opponent's going to ultimate their Pyro Knight next turn, too. Oh, no, we take... Alright, yeah. We would have taken 8 damage the other way. What could we draw off of Temple Scribe that we'd want to cast instead? I don't actually think anything. Alright. Let's just play Temple Scribe. Plan is to probably double block Champion of Chaos and hit a Lightning Bolt. Unlucky. Okay. So if we can make it 2 more turns, we can double Great Parliament. But here comes the Pyro Knight in for 6. If we double block, we actually lose the game right now, but there's nothing we can do. We've got no good blocks. We'll block here. Our opponent's going to hit us for 6, and then 3 trample damage on that. Both of my opponent's creatures had trample there. That's what this symbol is, so we were dead in the water regardless. My opponent wasn't playing any fun cards either. That's lame. I'm going to have to look through the new cards soon and see what cards jump out at me. Alright, there we go. Switching over to Eternal. No, it won't let me. Weird. Okay. Alright, well, I can't switch games right now, but that's fine. Might even get this off stream if we're all done here. Keep holding your head up. Ah. Ah. Turn 1 Oni Ronin. That's not what I like to see from Tom Hanks here. Oni Ronin on the play is really strong. 2-1 with Warcry. Alright. Looks like we're playing against a Skycrag burn deck. Some of the new Skycrag cards like Rock Slide and the new 4-mana deal 4 damage, and also Champion of Fury, which gets charge and +1 attack, and then Overwhelm on the next level. Well, the Overwhelm's going to be pretty good. If they don't have a Rock Slide, we might be in okay shape. Rock Slide would be brutal here, though. Alright, looks like we get to block. At least for now, unless they have Overwhelming charge or whatever. Alright, we're safe. Groundbreaker. I can't gain health. Double damage. Wow, this card's fantastic. Oh, Spark gives it double damage. Okay. Shit. Well, it's not like I have any health gain here, but the fact that it is a 3/6 double damage, that's going to be the annoying part. Means that I pretty much have to go Disciple this turn, and then next turn if I can Obelisk, I guess that draws us out of it. Yikes. Okay. A Warcry Katana as well. If I let both of these through, I just die. So I guess now I'm positive battling here, and then chump blocking, taking 8, going down to 6. Sure. Yeah, there's no way I can win from this point, though. Okay. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I can trade with this, chump block this. At which point, all then I have to do is find an answer for this. Right? Yeah, trade here. Chump block this. Okay. We found a way to survive. We go down to 4. We now need to chump block this the next few turns, and we're also dead to this. Quick draw, Aegis, Ultimate, Steelfang Chakram. That's pretty sweet. Don't know what we could possibly draw, but let's try to find it. Yeah, we're dead. Sweet deck. Those bobs seemed pretty sweet. Alright, let's give it one more shot here, but you know what? Let's switch up the deck. Let's play this Infiltrate deck. This deck actually does pretty well for me at the high ranks. I think there's some more cards that I could potentially throw in it, but it's mostly pretty good. This hand's kind of mana heavy. It's got schemes. You know what? This hand's going to be okay. Decent against aggro and control. with the schemes and the Gorgon Swiftblade. Just hold on to an idea. Alright, looks like we are playing against Rakano. We are all just dead air. We are all just dead air. Torched! No! Alright, well, that means they're not playing a 2-drop. Oh, okay. We might be playing against... Yeah, maybe they just had a Singleton Rakano banner. Weird. I'll just Wisdom end of turn here. Wisdom's just so much better than Scheme. I'm curious if this deck got anything good for it in the new set as well. Alright, let's see if we can find a kill spell for that. Like a Suffocate would be pretty sweet. We can even Scheme into Suffocate, though my opponent does have Aegis mana open. Alright, well that means we can Scheme and then just still play Twilight Raptor regardless, so let's Scheme, look for Suffocate, but taking combo pieces as well. Ugh, Scheme into Scheme is really, really terrible. But I don't want a Swiftblade at this point in the game, I don't think. Just have to hope this doesn't kill us. Scheme can also still find us, like, just a kill spell. What this deck may have gotten is, like, better mana. Not better mana, better removal. It might be worth spot. Alright, well, we got the Death Strike. That's pretty cool. Looks like my opponent might have Aegis. I'm also not super pressured into killing this because I have Death Strike. So let's just Scheme. I'm going to go for Gorgon Fanatic. Oh, Permafrost would also work. Though they can silence it eventually too, which is annoying. Alright, let's just take Gorgon Fanatic here. So we want them to, like, tap out for something and then we Death Strike this, but it's kind of terrible too. We want them to tap out for a weapon. Alright, Combray Healer. That's fine. They still have Aegis mana open. I think they might be slightly less likely to have it now. We can also Scheme and play Fanatic. I kind of like that. We can also Scheme and play a the 3-drop. Don't get it, though. I think I'm going to grab Wisdom of the Elders and then play Gorgon Fanatic. Yeah, they clearly do have a spell. So I guess it's Aegis, or we're going to see an end-step Lightning Bolt. Which is fine. I actually want them to Lightning Bolt this, the Fanatic, so that we can Haunting Scream it. Perfect. So next turn we get to go Haunting Scream and Death Strike. And my opponent's still stuck on 4 mana. Alright. That's certainly a little bit annoying. Arg. So now if I Haunting Scream, I have to Death Strike this, and then what else am I doing? I guess drawing the Gorgon Fanatic might still be good. Let's see if they Aegis here. No, looks like they might have a Lightning Bolt, though. Doesn't matter, I'm still going to go for it. Means Dark Return will return a hasty charged one. So yeah, they're going to Lightning Bolt the Gorgon Fanatic here. No, they're not. They're going to let me draw 3 cards. Alright, well, I'll take that as well. Do we hit a land? We don't. So next turn we're just going to be playing 2 Direwood Beastcallers. Also puts us back up to 14. Alright, they do go for the Aegis. So they run that out there. Well, we can clear the Aegis with Levitate, but we can also just try to ignore it. And, like, we make 2 5/5s. This thing isn't attacking. Alright, maybe it is. This is close to them just having lethal. Our 2/2 is going to stay back on defense for now. And let's play some Beast Callers. So I'd like to Haunting Scream one of my Beast Callers and Levitate the other one. That is the that's the best case scenario. Alright, this telegraphs Haunting Scream pretty well. We're kind of boned now by a Flying Silencer. Looks like they don't have it, though. They're going to tap out for a pair of Champion of Glories. And, yeah, we get to Haunting Scream out. This Beast Caller. Levitate. This Beast Caller. Draw a Shadow Sigil as well. Okay. Well, with that Shadow Sigil, I think I'm going to turn this into a pig. Yeah. And now, of course, we'll sacrifice the one that we screamed, and we'll be able to Dark Return that out next turn. We can block 1 here, and 2 guys here. So we've stopped their ground assault. Now we just have to find a way to win the game. And that way to win the game could just be continue to make 5/5s and eventually overrunning them. Sounds good to me. This also gives me a permanent 2/2 flyer, which is nice. Sweet. 2 more 5/5s. Let's draw 2 cards before we play Twilight Raptor. You know what? We could just play Whispering Wind and Twilight Raptor. That's pretty good. And we know my opponent doesn't have Harsh Rule. You're not going to play Harsh Rule and Champion of Glory in your deck. Alright, Stand Together. That's pretty reasonable. It means that now we've got to double block this Champion of Glory in fear of another Stand Together. So we double block this one, double block this one, double block this one. And we still have all of our other creatures to spare. Seems good. Meanwhile, we're hitting my opponent for 5 in the air every turn. And we get to draw 4 cards next turn. 1 card off the top of the deck, 2 off Wisdom of the Elders, and 1 off Whispering Wind. So in 4 cards, we should be able to find another Scream, or... It's pretty crazy. We triple schemed this game. But my opponent was stuck on only 4 lands. It's going to be a silence on Direwood Beastcaller, I'm sure. Yeah, looks like it. It's also going to stop me from attacking with Whispering Winds. Let's just Wisdom here. If we draw a kill spell like an Annihilate, that is an Annihilate. Alright, so we can Annihilate this, and then what can we do? We can loot Gorgon Fanatic into a kill spell. Do we still have one? I don't think we do. No, okay. So we don't want to use Whispering Wind, but we do want to attack for 3 in the air, I think. Do they have another Aegis? They don't. We're at 5. Oh, I don't have enough mana to cast anything else. Alright, that's fine. 5 turn clock for my opponent. Still have no good attacks. What was that? A Vanquish on one of our beasts? Okay. Well, I can Suffocate to clear out one of these things. I can also just turn Suffocate into a better spell. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Pretty much done hitting our land drops here now. Just play Wisdom, see what we draw. Sure, Whispering Wind, and oh, that's all I get to play? Right, because I drew 2 cards. Sure. I don't want to hit my land drops anymore, because our lands just get to turn into free cards now. Alright, they've got a 5/5. Still planning on double blocking this, double blocking Student, and we can block this with like Beast plus a 5/5. Which has the added benefit of putting a Beast in the graveyard. Decent, just means this guy has to get triple blocked. So just pivot our blocks slightly. If they only attack with this, then we just block it with our entire team. Alright, easy enough. I was going to let them kill a 2/2 for free. But now, like, even... Yeah. That'll do it. There's just no cost for blocking with your entire team. That'll give us our first win of the day bonus. And let's end the stream here by opening up this Omens of the Past pack. What do we get? Life Force. If you gained life, draw a card. Alright, I can get behind that. Anything else sweet? Don't think so. Nope, nothing else. Alright. That is it for me, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And, yep. I gotta redo that or something. I don't know why that always messes up this outro title. But thank you guys very much for watching. I am NoLucksGiven. If you are not already followed, feel free to follow on twitch.tv/NoLucksGiven to be notified when I go live. And yeah, that's if you're watching on YouTube. And that's it. I'm all done. I'm not going to do a big spiel. I'll see you guys. Have a good one. Peace.